Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Mirror podcast. I'm your host, Kyle David. If you didn't know, now you know. Hey, thanks for tuning back in. If you're watching on YouTube, I have this shirt on that says, "Be kind." Let me know if you want some and I'll order some. If you're listening and you want some, hit me up on social media, send me a message and say, "Hey, I want a Be Kind shirt," and I'll do an order for us all. Great. Hey, let's get into it today. I want to share something today that I've talked about a lot this week, and it's been helpful for me to think through and talk about, and I think it'll be helpful for you to think through and talk about. So let's get into it. The idea that I want to touch on today is this. Lean in. Listen. You're doing better than you think. You're doing better than you think in life. 99% of us, that's not a data-driven scientific fact, but I would say 99% of people are doing better in life than they think. And let me give you the story, like kind of where this thought came from. I was talking with our CEO at Leader the other day via Slack, and I was reminding him of a story where he shared that very thought with me. I'll share it with you. It was probably a year and a half ago. When I was an individual contributor on the sales team at Leader, and we were growing, and there was a lot going on. But for me, I put so much pressure on myself to not just hit my targets and excel in my job, but to like go above and beyond. And so I was constantly, and still struggle with this, and you may struggle with this too. I was constantly beating myself up of, you're not good enough. You're not doing enough. People don't think you're very good. People aren't happy with your performance, a whole bunch of stuff. And I was just beating myself up. And so one day, I think I was in his office, or we were in the office somewhere. And I was kind of just like beating myself up to him about like, oh man, I think this about myself, or I'm frustrated with this or whatever. And shout out to Matt Tressiter, CEO of Leader, absolute legend. But he stopped me and he was like, "Kyle, you're doing better than you think you are." And in that moment, I shared this with my team yesterday. In that moment, I almost like snapped out of it, right? Like just somebody that I really valued their opinion told me, "Hey, you're doing better than you think." And that did a few things for me. One, it affirmed to me like, okay, he thinks I'm doing well. Somebody that I admire, that I respect, that I'm looking to for validation, they actually think I'm doing well, although I don't think I'm doing well. And also, it just helped me see that like I was being super, super critical of myself. And it was actually holding me back from doing even better, right? I was so caught up in my head, and I was so caught up in like telling myself all the things that I wasn't doing well, and all the things that I could be better at, that I was using too much energy to beat myself up versus like propel myself forward. So that's the story, right? And obviously there's not a ton of detail but that's the story of when my CEO told me, "You're doing better than you think." And so that's what I want to convey to you and continuously to myself, is that all of us are the loudest voice that we have is our own, right? We all know that. The loudest voice is the one in between your ears, the one in your head. That's the loudest voice. And it's usually hyper critical and unkind, right? Our own talk to ourselves, our own voice to ourselves is usually pretty unkind. And so we are holding ourselves to an impossible standard of do more, do better, but we're not taking the time to give ourselves credit for the things that we're doing well, right? Most people around you could tell you better what you're doing well than you could, because we don't have a good view or perception of ourselves. And that's going to have to be a whole nother podcast. But the idea to share with you here that I'm convinced is true is, no matter what you're dealing with in life, we're all dealing with stuff, right? We're all constantly dealing with struggles, pain, obstacles. You name it, we all got stuff. But we're probably more focused on fixing problems and being better, and getting rid of the struggles, or building better relationships, or advancing in our careers, or we're all focused on more, better. But you need to slow down and realize that as much as you wish you were somewhere else in life because you think you could be doing better, you're doing better than you think you are. Right? Like it's all perspective. And hear me, I don't have this figured out and I don't actually know how to do it really well, but I'm working on it. I'm working on auditing, like, how am I talking to myself? How am I thinking about myself? And like, how well am I actually doing in life? Not where do I want to be versus where I am. That's another conversation, right? We should all want to be driven and constantly be better. But am I doing well where I'm at? Like in this season of life, like personally, professionally, health-wise, relationally, spiritually, like, am I doing good? Not am I doing perfect? Not even am I doing great? Am I excelling? But am I doing well? And I had a conversation with somebody on my team the other day, actually a few people, about this, that, again, you're doing better than you think. And also, like, we will look back someday on this season of life, right? Like, I'll look back someday on this season of life just to think and observe and see what I can glean from it and learn from it. And I almost guarantee I'll be like, man, I actually was doing pretty good. Right? We're all trying to rush out of the season we're in because we want more, we want out of this or the struggle or whatever. But you're probably doing so much better than you think you are. Because again, we're so hypercritical. We're usually just constantly tracking the things that we don't like, that aren't going well, that we don't like about ourselves, that we wish was different. We're constantly tracking those things, ruminating in our heads about those things. But if we were to zoom out and focus on like the things that we are doing well, there's also probably a really long list. Not perfect again, but well. Like, you're probably doing some things pretty well for the situation you're in. Right? Because I was having this conversation like 5 times this week. We are how would I put it? We're all doing the best that we can with the information we have right now at this moment, right? Like, most people are doing the best that they can. And I'm not saying that they're like maxing out their potential. None of us are. But the effort most of us are putting into like living our lives is like pretty high. Most of us are doing our best to like wake up every day and get to work and like provide and make sure that we, we're decently healthy and like that we have decent relationships. Like, we're doing the things that we should be doing to the best of our abilities right now with the information that we have with where we're at. Right? So we're doing the best we can with the information we have where we're at, which means we're doing better than we think. If you had different information and different abilities, you would be doing that, but you don't, and I don't. Right now, I'm doing the best I can with the information and the circumstances that I've been given at this moment. And in 5 years, I'll have new information and new circumstances, and I'll do my best then. Right? But we're all, for the most part, doing the best we can with what we have right now. With the information and knowledge we have and the circumstances that life has presented us, we're doing the best we can most of the time. So just remind yourself of that. You're doing the best that you can right now with where you're at. And you're doing better than you think. And very practically, like, it may be helpful to talk to other people about like, hey, can you maybe let me know a few things that you think I can improve in? And maybe share some things with me that you think I'm doing well. And I think you'll be shocked at the amount of things that you're actually doing well that other people see that you probably don't see. Back to the point, you're doing better than you think. But to get there, to see through that lens and have that perspective, you need outside perspectives. You need people around you that observe you and interact with you consistently to tell you the things that you're doing well. Because you're probably not going to tell yourself that, because we're just naturally unkind to ourselves and we don't do a good job of validating what we do well. So go find some people that you trust to interact with you consistently, frequently, and ask them like, hey, what are some areas of my life that you think are kind of blind spots or things I can improve at? And then what are some things that I do well? It's called feedback, right? And I work at a tech startup, a lot of you know, and we're very big on feedback, right? Like, you grow as a person at the speed of the feedback that you get, right? So when the people around me or the people that work for me or the people I work for tell me, hey, Kyle, you can be better at this. You're doing well at this. I can immediately take that stuff and implement it, right? Like I can feel affirmed that I'm doing some things well, and then I can work on the things I'm not doing well, and I'll grow at the speed of the feedback I get. There's so many success tips out there and gurus telling you how to change your life and all this. But one of the most impactful things you could do is ask for feedback. Ask the people around you, like, how am I doing? And most of the time you'll get an answer, good or bad or both. But I say all that to say, like, you're doing better than you think. When you ask for that feedback, you'll probably hear things that you weren't even aware of that you're doing well. Make sure to ask for it. Where can I improve? But what am I doing well? And the list of things that others will tell you you're doing well is probably 10x the list that you would make, because again, we are unkind to ourselves and we don't think we're doing as good as we really are. So I firmly believe that we're all doing better than we think, and that we just have skewed perceptions of ourselves because human nature is to be overly critical, and we live in an insecure society. And so those things are there. It's tough to grasp the idea that you're doing better than you think, but you need to hear it from other people. Go ask for it. So I hope that's helpful. This is the reminder. Last time, you are doing better than you think. I'm doing better than I think in life, and you're doing better than you think. So rest in that. Take a little bit of the pressure off of yourself and realize you're doing better than you think. Hope that was helpful. Share it with somebody that you think it would be helpful for. And I'll be back next week with another episode of Inside the Mirror Podcast. Adios.